Got it. Hi, Leah. How are you today?
I am well, Krista. How are you today?
Good. Well, it's finally nice to meet you. I've heard a lot about you, and it sounds like you were able to be at the faculty training with Whitney, right?
That is correct.
Okay,
It
good.
was highly informative. Yeah, it was great.
Okay, good. Well, before we get into the orientation of the course, I mean, it's always good to introduce each other and talk about our backgrounds. And so why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, I've been in higher education, teaching and development for about the last almost 14 years.
Nice.
And interestingly enough, all of my degrees have been earned in the online environment. And, so I think that has supported me in being, empathetic and human in this space because I was growing a family while I also was taking my degree programs. And I think that's, we're going to see a lot more of that going forward in this space. So, um, what else can I tell you? I guess, I kind of fell into this and have just really, really enjoyed it and have put a lot of my heart and soul into developing courses that are, applicable and practical in that way. So that's what I hope we get to continue to do when I'm working with you.
Nice. Well, I just got pretty excited about your background. It's not very often we get to work with people that have such an extensive online experience. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun together. Um, so
Excellent.
regarding my background, uh, you talked about falling into things. So I think when it comes to online education, that happens to a lot of people. So I think I fell into it a little bit too. So I started off as a special educator. I worked in Alaska and did rural and remote deaf education. And after a while, I wanted to support them. So I got into building online learning for them, which got me interested in online learning. Fast forward a few, different cycles of career, and I am now here doing some awesome stuff that I love doing. So I've been in education for about 20 years. I've got an 8-year-old boy that's pretty awesome and smart and sassy. And I live here in Columbia, Missouri. So
Hmm,
yeah, so I just look forward to working with you. So, all right, ready to
fantastic.
get started?
Well, I
Oh, go
am.
ahead.
I'm curious. How much time should we expect to spend on this first session together?
Well, for this first session or for the working together on the course?
Well, let's talk about both.
Okay, so on the calendar, I reserved about an hour. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it takes an hour, but that gives a little bit of cushion just in case we end up using the whole time. The big goal
Okay.
of this session is to orient you to the time frame and to make sure that first and foremost, I hear your vision. Like that's really the goal of this first session because without you, we don't have you have the experience with students. You've got an idea of what is really core to your course. I'm sure you're pretty passionate about the outcomes that you want to achieve for your course. And so I think if we don't start there, then we're off track. So I think
Okay.
that's really the goal today is to listen to your ideas and get them down. So we can
That
go.
sounds good.
As
Okay.
far as the whole
All right.
course, this is a pretty quick development. We've got about 90 days. So overall, you're gonna spend about 100 hours total. Now we talked about, or Whitney mentioned that on the on-site faculty orientation. So if you ever have any difficulty with if extra jobs get piled on you and you're finding it hard, let me know, because that's why we have this partnership with not just you, but also the administration. I can work with my senior LA. We can talk with your chair to say, hey, can you lighten the load while during this short time frame that we're working on the course? So let us know if you're feeling too pinched, and we're always willing to try to figure that out.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right. So this document that I am sharing with you is called the iGuide. Essentially, we'll be in this document maybe 2 weeks or so, but essentially the goal is to help us orient before we start writing lessons, before we start writing assignments. You know how I know in the kickoff deck it referenced a trip, how you want to know where you're going before you wouldn't get on the plane and not know where you're going. So this is really the goal of this document, is figure out where we're going. And so again, today is really about that vision piece. We've got a little table of contents here. You can jump to different parts of the document, but the big part here is I want to show you that there's a huge team behind you. Now, I'm your main point of contact as your learning architect, but there's a whole team behind you. So whenever you're worried about, oh, I would really love a visual here, or who's going to build my course, we're going to help you do that. We've got a senior learning architect. You'll meet in the second meetings. Most of the time they're in the first meeting. The senior learning architect looks across the build. So if you're ever worried, like, is my course veering off from where all the other courses in this program are being built? Our senior learning architect's gonna help with that. So no worries there. We've got a senior IT and an IT to help you build. You don't need to worry about building anything. We've got quality review people. We've got creative people to help with visuals, icons, graphic design. And you're not necessarily going to hear from all them, because we like to make it easy for you on knowing who to contact, which is me. I just like people to know that there's a lot of people that are here to support you. So if you ever feel stressed, just know, big team there.
Okay.
We've got several links here. The biggest thing that I want to point out to you are Project Charter and Program Learning Outcomes. Project Charter is something that, as administrators, we like to make sure that we're not just developing your course, we're developing your entire program. And so what we do at the beginning is make sure we know where the vision is for the whole program. Why are we building this new program? So if you have access to this, it's in your course folder, and I'll orient you. During the second meeting, we'll get into Google Drive a little bit. Okay. But really, the big thing here is about the vision for the program. I'll touch a little bit on this. It's really, some of the issues are, we want to build a digital transformation. We want to meet learners where they are when we're designing this program. We want like a just-in-time learning feel. Some of the reasons that we did this was we want to reimagine this type of learning, because I know we're targeting professionals. Take advantage of this modern, good learning design, which I know you know a lot about. So go ahead. I will send a link to you in the email to browse this, but also know that this is a really big document, and it talks about the whole program design. And I know your chair was really wanting to be transparent with you about anything that's going on. If you disagree with anything, reach out to your chair and talk about it. See if it needs to get in here.
Sounds good.
And
the
then,
part sounds like it's aligned to my ideas as well.
Oh, good. Program learning outcomes, we're just going to jump to those. We're not going to hit on this today. We're going to focus more on this tomorrow, but what these are at the end of a program, a student goes through a whole program, they should be able to do these things. So it's kind of, again, that referencing of the trip. Where are you going? Well, this is where they're going for the whole program. So I just want to know that that's here. That's where you can find this.
Okay.
And then I'll just jump back to some of these areas as we go through this design process. But project charter, program learning outcomes, that's where this is. Before we get into some questions, I just want to confirm the course facts. So Foundations of Online Teaching is the course, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Might want to update the course number though. I think it's EDEC or EDEC
Oh, yeah.
1210.
Right. Thank you so much. Okay. Credits. Is it for credit? Okay. How
No
many
credit.
What'd you say? 3?
Well, I guess so. You know, our main audience is new faculty, right? So, or potentially students who, you know, that are in the program that think they may want to move into being an online teacher.
Okay, so you're thinking so is it part of a 4-credit program or are you just not sure?
I'm not sure yet. We're kind of envisioning what this is going to be. It could be for credit, or it could be, you know, for continuing education.
Okay, so that will, whether it's for credit or not for credit, will affect to what degree we want to meet certain accreditation standards. So we'll go ahead and I will check on this for you to see if there is a decision and be sure to get back to you on that. Length of course, 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Fully online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
any synchronous components, do you know? Or are you not sure?
Typically, yeah, I'd like to meet at least once a week, if at all possible. That would be ideal.
Okay. And your weekday and end, is it Monday through Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And degree program, maybe not sure?
Not sure yet. I think we're still trying to work these details out.
Okay. We have that it's previously offered. Is that the case?
Well, we've kind of been we've had some beta opportunities, but I think because of how we're looking to use this class going forward, yeah, it hasn't been fully implemented the way that we're envisioning it quite yet.
Yeah, okay. And then part of a cohort or sequence?
Yeah, I think so to be determined.
Okay. All right. And what I'll do is I'll put your information, since I already have it. What I don't have is your phone number. Can you give me your number? Yeah.
Sure. 828-206-5362.
Awesome. And I'll put my name here. And that way, if you need to reach me and you're not sure where to find the information, it's always right here on this sheet.
Great.
And how often do you want to meet? What I typically recommend is, given the fast pace of this development, I would recommend 2 times a week. Now, it could be for half an hour, it could be for an hour. Longer developments than once a week, but I'm thinking for the pace that we have, twice a week.
I'm open to that. Absolutely.
Okay. So we'll do 2 times a week. And then what days work for you?
You know, I think Tuesdays and Fridays are typically good for me, but I can be flexible if
I can
you
do
need
that.
to change that at all. Okay.
And then as far as like time of day, do you know what works for you?
I think Tuesday mornings and Friday. I think mornings are best, like late mornings. But again, I can be flexible.
Okay, great. So what I'll do is I'll send an email, maybe confirming what some exact times are. I'll send out a calendar invite for all the Tuesdays and Fridays. And inside it will have, just like we did for today, a Zoom link. And it'll be the same Zoom link, and then I'll insert that Zoom link here for you. So it'll be super easy to jump in. Any vacation travel times where you're going to be unavailable?
For the next 3 months?
Yeah.
No, I'll be pretty solid on availability.
Okay. If it comes up, just let me know, and we can either reschedule, or, you know, if we're meeting twice a week, it makes it a little easier if we just need to skip one.
Okay.
And in the project charter that I showed you, what we've agreed on is that what we'll do if you're unable to attend, that you'll just email me or text me. I'm okay with text too. This is my cell phone number. So if you just want to text, you can't make it, if it's last minute, that works great. What about you? What do you prefer?
Yeah, same for me.
Okay,
yes,
great.
Yeah.
So text prior or email, but I think text is always good for last minute. Anything else you, as far as preferences or communication goes?
It'd be really helpful, is that we have maybe like a pre idea of what we're going to talk about every meeting.
Like an agenda.
Yeah.
So that you feel like you come prepared, and then it's not. Okay, great. Yeah, so one of the things that we'll do is that in our meeting notes, we'll take notes, and then we'll establish, you know, what we both agree, what we're going to work on, and then we'll send out both the meeting notes, but also the agenda for the next meeting, because we meet in rapid little cycles. So we'll send links to both the agenda, so you know the same day that we met what we're going to talk about next, but it's also a Google Drive document. So if we come up with things in the meantime, we can add to it. So.
All right.
All right, now for the meat and the big goal. Thank you for working through that part with me, just getting some of those facts down. So the goal of this is really for you to tell me about like what your vision is for the course. So we've already talked a little bit about your background. Is there anything else about yourself and your background that you think is pretty relevant to the course development that you haven't really talked about yet?
I think, as I did mention a little bit, it's a lot about the practicalness of, what is offered and shared in this particular class, so that I am providing a good example and model of, how to operate in this space.
Yeah.
And, and I think that, again, my background just kind of supports that in a great way, because, I was an online learner, and I was able to determine through those experiences what I really needed to feel supported. And so that's what I really always am thinking about as I develop this course.
Nice. Yes, because sometimes people can get so caught up in the content that they forget what it's like to be an online learner. So your background is going to be amazing to be able to implement some of that learner experience design. So,
well, thank you. And I have definitely gotten caught up in the content. So don't let me do that. Okay.
Yeah, that's why it's always great to have a collaboration between not just two, but there's also people behind the scenes that we just talked about, really to get down, okay, what is your goal and what do you want to achieve, and are we getting there? My next question it has a little philosophical bent at the beginning, but education is transformative, right? Or it should be. Like if you come out the exact same at the end of a course, then something's probably wrong. So education's transformative. So how do you want your course to transform students?
Mm. So, our audience is typically, individuals who have never taught online before, who may be sort of being pushed to be taught online and or to learn how to teach online, and they may have a little bit of resistance to it just because there's some unknowns in that environment. And so this goes back to the support model, sort of walking them through or down the pathway in on a moderate pace that allows them to to synthesize the experience, to bring their experience that they're having, because maybe they've never even taken an online course themselves. Mm-hmm. And so, they're truly then the student versus the teacher or the instructor. And so that's a little bit, maybe a little bit different for some of them. Mm-hmm. Than it's been for a little while. And so I really just want them to have an enjoyable, yet stimulating experience in this course.
That is a great statement. Enjoyable yet stimulating. And I think that can be something that we can continue to come back to be like, okay, to what degree do our assignments achieving your goal, but to what degree is it helping to bring joy or likelihood of helping them experience joy in the course? So I think that'll be an interesting thing to continually come back to. Anything else about that?
Again, because these are adult learners, and I haven't read all the questions yet, but because they're adult learners, I want them to be able to apply what they're learning, whether that is, as soon as possible. So I want to be able to provide them with experiences that even if they don't end up teaching until a year from now, they can still garner some of what we talk about and to their face-to-face teaching experiences as well. So.
Yeah, that really does happen as far as the, good teaching on online impacting the face-to-face and how they see that teaching. Okay. All right.
The next question. My video for just, my video for just one brief second. Okay, I'm just going to just 1 second. Okay.
All right. Do you want me to pause talking too, or?
No, we can keep going. Okay.
So one of the questions, the next one, is about your values. So when we look at course design, we're looking at the content and the course learning outcomes, but there's many right ways to do that. And often you can kind of imbue a course with certain values. So for example, if you really valued service learning, you might incorporate some of that. So you've already talked about this a little bit, is, I want them to enjoy, I want them to apply. So what are some of the values that you want to weave throughout your course?
One of those is which is a little bit different than we talked about, is empathy. And so because we want them to be empathetic towards their students when their students are struggling in, particularly in the online environment, once again, just because, again, some of these faculty are new to online teaching, and so they have never, they're so used to being able to see each other face to face, and, and they're reading those facial expressions and things. And we know that, these tools, right, can help us if there are synchronous sessions and such, but we want them to be able to have a more, we just don't want them to lose the human element of the, of teaching online and being able to work with students in a way that, you know, giving them the benefit of the doubt when the internet breaks down or, you know, or zips out or whatever it is, you know, or, you know, just being able to know that things are always changing and happening in life, right? And that we want to believe that students are trying the best that they can. So, so that, you know, we can't always like bend all the rules, but that is one of the values that I tend to bring to my teaching aspect of this class.
Great. All right. And then, so one of the questions is, why is this course important? Like, if you were to, and I know you've actually hit on this a little bit in each one of your answers, but, you know, usually it's, you know, why is it important for the students to learn this context in the context of the broader world? How are they going out and use this information?
So I firmly believe that that the workforce, and this trickles down. So, you know, our students in this class being, you know, instructors, teachers, faculty, and then trickling down to students, right, that are in their courses they're developing online. Digital skill sets, 21st century digital skills, I guess you could call them. You know, how are those being translated or transformed in each of the courses that we're developing throughout our programs? And we know that there are skill sets that there's gaps in. We want to try and provide, you know, opportunities for our students to develop these and take them with them, you know, as they are moving out into the real world. And so being able to navigate, you know, in all of these digital environments is super important, and it's only going to continue to grow. And, you know, you mentioned Google Drive and then of course, you know, Web 2.0, it could be 3.0 for now. So
it's really about kind of that digital literacy, but in even a more larger sense, I think. Is that it?
Yeah, I think we could even use digital fluency, right, as part of that. And then,
Yeah, because really, I mean, it's not going away anytime soon. So how, if at all? So
unless the grid breaks down, right?
Right.
The grid. Yeah.
I know. So if you're, excuse me, not up on these skills, you're going to be behind. You're going to miss out. So in a sense, it sounds like what you're saying is how it's important to bring digital fluency to online teaching, because otherwise these teachers are going to get left behind, which in turn leaves their students behind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Great way to synthesize that. Absolutely. And, you know, we want to do this in a micro movement way. You know, for people who, you know, there always are some that are going to take it a little bit further and, you know, and that sort of thing. But we know that every one of these faculty members has, you know, something to bring to the space, and we, you know, we don't want to miss that either, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Great. Well, one of the things we're gonna let me get that on the next page there. Okay. So now I'm going to ask a question that's really high level. We're just going to unlock all of the constraints that we will have to build under. But so I want you to disregard technology, disregard platform. Like, don't think of those as constraining factors, whether it's online or base, how much funding you have, the grading time, the logistics. I know it's crazy, right? Like this statement I have here. But what I want you to do is tell me, if you could do anything in this course, maybe think of a culminating project as a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
What would that look like? Like if you were queen, what would that look like?
I think it would look like something that the learners design themselves. So some sort of, I can't get away from practical, right? Because I think when we're doing this and we're spending a lot of time doing it, I want it to be something that they feel that they need, right, to do a good job. And so it's some sort of project that the learners design themselves, that supports them in whatever area that they're looking for. So whether that's a research-based experience, so that they can start to, if they're more a research person and they want to see the data and the science behind why this works, then it's something like that. If it's something where they are already feeling comfortable, a little bit more comfortable in this space, and they want to design something for their students. So I love project-based learning. And I love student autonomy, right? And where students or learners are able to make choices on their own. So I promote more of how to learn versus what to learn, as much as possible.
Great.
Even though in this class, again, there are some pretty specific things that we do want them to do. We try to stay away from as much prescription as possible.
Well, it kind of goes back to digital fluency. I mean, there's also a learning fluency, because the way the world is today, if you don't learn how to learn and instead of what to learn, you're going to be left behind too. So that makes a lot of sense. Well, I mean, what you described, I mean, I totally see how we can work together to do this. So there's a lot of ways that we can build on autonomy, project-based, how to learn, yet still targeting those program learning outcomes, the course learning outcomes. And maybe what we want to put in the course learning outcomes is that they're able to describe how to learn, like, or approach it. And, some facts we can think about that. But this is looking great.
Good.
All right.
Good. Thanks for helping me get this out.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about these, and you helped to sort of summarize some of my thoughts that I wasn't able to do.
Good. Well, we'll be coming back to your vision. And is there anything else that you think you wanted to tell me, but haven't had the chance? I would just say that I'm pretty big on alignment and making sure that the course is pretty tight as far as alignment, outcomes, and assessments. So I think hopefully that will be good for you too, because I think sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that. We get really excited about, all these things that we can do, and we only have a certain amount of time together. Yeah, exactly. So, right. And these things take time, that's the project base, the student autonomy, the more choice you have, sometimes the more time you need to have. So making sure that everything that we build is very purposeful towards those outcomes is going to help you be able to do that successfully. Nice. Well, the good thing about the alignment, that's what we're going to be focusing on the next time we meet. So that's great.
Okay.
And when I talked about the quality review team, that's also what they focus on, is they help us with the alignment, give us feedback all along the way. So we're going to make sure that is tight, like you said. Okay.
Great.
Well, just want to review before we end our timeline. I know that's probably on your mind. This is today, and we're going to be progressing through. It's a little bit of a tight timeline here. We're going to be ending on May 15th. The key part is that we've got until about the middle of April to finish your writing. So this is really through the blueprinting process. This is where a lot of the work's going to be, and it's going to lighten up quite a bit in this phase. So if you run into any roadblocks, just let me know. And then along the way, each time we meet, we'll come up with, here's the upcoming timeline. So you don't need to jump back to this document. I'm going to help remind you of what is next to come each time. I know it's a lot to focus on. All right. So now if you don't have any more questions, we'll just focus on what we're going to do for the next meeting, and I'll send you some summary notes.
That sounds great.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do course alignment during the next meeting. And so I'm going to send you an email that gives you a link to some instructional approaches. So what I want you to do, and what I'm going to do as well, is look at what you talked about in your vision and think about how you want to be. Like you mentioned, project-based, student autonomy. I'm going to give you a link that goes to an idea book. And I bring that up, but I know we're running a little short on time here.
No problem.
So it'll be a link that goes to a variety of approaches or design ideas. They're very high level. And so think about your vision and how you want to achieve it. And what I'll do is I'll actually be brainstorming a few ideas on this next page. Here is, a couple examples, but for example, project learning, ideas for assessments, very brainstorming type of things. Again, it all comes back to your vision that you just talked about. And if you have any of your course learning outcomes or your student learning outcomes, if you can place that in your faculty folder, and I will send you an email with a link that goes right to your faculty folder, so you don't have to try to figure out how to find it. Things like that.
Okay, great.
And I'll send those summary notes. So just look for my email. Is there anything else that you have questions on that you want to talk about?
No, this feels really good. And you have been very collaborative so far, and I appreciate that.
Well, ditto. I mean, you're excellent. I like that all the different ideas that you had. You've got a fantastic vision, really clear on where you want to go. And that's half the battle. If you don't know where you want to go, it makes it kind of difficult to figure out what you want to do. So, all right.
Going on a blind journey. Yeah, I'm not that good at that. So
I know. All right. Well, I will send an email with the notes, the links that I talked about. We'll set up the next time to meet on Tuesdays and Fridays. And I look forward to seeing you later on this week.
Great.
All right.
Thank you, Krista.
Thank you so much, Leah.
Have a good day.
Same.
Okay.
Bye.